sharks out here, boy. Protect your feet. Yeah. Howdy folks, it's Ben back here with the parts restoration. Haven't done a YouTube video in a while, so I figured this would be kind of a fun one to film. I've got these Campagnolo Gran Sport brake calipers here that are in really good condition actually. I have a pretty cool idea for what I want to do in terms of the refurbishment. What I think I'm going to do is keep the arms the same, don't polish those, but everything else, nuts, bolts, spring, barrel adjuster, the metal portion that holds the pads in place, I'll also polish and give all of those other little parts a mirror finish, and I think that'll make these calipers look really cool. Let's do it. One thing is it's brake calipers, so it comes in twos, so whatever you got to do once, you got to do twice. So let's begin. Gonna start with the rear brake and simply just get all the hardware off. These are pretty self-explanatory to put together and take apart. There's really nothing too crazy about them. Granted, I've never done a Gran Sport brake caliper before, so I could be talking out of my butt, but we'll see. Let me go run and get a wrench. Let's pop these guys off. And again, all these little washers and nuts and bolts are gonna get a really nice mirror polish that I think will really look cool. We just have to kind of take note as we go as to what we're kind of taking apart here. Guess we could pop these springs off now. And then everything should just slide. So there's a bunch of different washers. I got caught slacking and wasn't doing this over my handy dandy magnetic tray, so I'm gonna have to go find a bolt under my workbench. Let me go do that. Luckily I didn't have to work too hard for it, but there everything is. So now it's fully apart. Now I'm gonna toss this in the ultrasonic cleaner. So next, everything is gonna go in the ultrasonic cleaner. This is the cage that came with the cleaner. The mesh is pretty big, so a lot of smaller nuts and bolts would just fall through. So that's why I have this little screen bowl here. So all of the bigger stuff I'll toss in the actual cage. Everything else is gonna go in here. It will all go in the ultrasonic cleaner for about 10 minutes. So here's my tank. COZ ultrasonic cleaner. It's the 5-liter size. That's perfect size for bike parts. It is important to pay attention to a couple different things, especially with aluminum parts. I'm using simple green, heavy duty, the purple stuff, to about 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Hotter than this, you also run a risk of clouding your aluminum and making it look bad, just straight up bad. So I'm gonna dunk this and go for about 10 minutes, 70 degrees, 10 minutes, heavy duty simple green, and you'll be fine. All right, so I put everything in the red basket and those are all the parts. So my next step is to take a little compressed air and a rag and just go through each little part, give it a quick wipe down. This will also remove any other dirt. So like the ultrasonic can't get everything off. If there's like thick grease, it's worth giving it a hand clean and then throwing it in the ultrasonic, because it does have has its limitations. So I also want to polish all of the hardware. Obviously, that's kind of the whole point of this. But that's kind of hard to press up against the buffing wheel by hand. So I'm just gonna take a spoke, hold it on there like that, and then I'll push on the wheel like this, so it gives me something to kind of keep it steady so it doesn't go flying. For the brake pads, I only want to hit this area with the polishing wheel, and I know for a fact that because that thing's spinning so fast, it would take the Campagnolo writing right off the pads if I were to accidentally touch it. So I'm just going to throw a little tape on it, which was really easy to do, took about 10 seconds. Now I'm just going to go polish these. So after you're done polishing, there's going to be a lot of polishing compound in the threads. I usually just wipe down the exterior as much as I can, and then take just a little brake cleaner and spray the threads out. That's usually perfect. And then if you want to just follow that up with just a smidge bit of air, leave those threads looking really good, and everything's all nice and polished too. So I'll just do that with everything that's threaded. All right, so we got everything polished up, and now we're going to start the reassembly. So this is the back side of the brake. So I put the, I'm not exactly sure what that kind of washer is called, but it's a sharper washer with a locking nut on the back. And then next, we're gonna install the spring. This you can actually put in the wrong way. So one way, you can see that the spring part kind of comes down past this flat part in the brake. If you install it like that, you won't be able to get these locked in. So you actually want to install that like so. So now see how everything is flush? Those springs don't protrude inwards. So now we're going to be able to start the assembly process. So take one of your, let me just double check and make sure one's not thinner than the other. It's always good to just double check. So I got that washer on, and then the non-marked Campagnolo caliper goes on. The other thin washer, followed by the other part of the body. So now you have your stack here, and now you can see that line a little better that I was talking about, how it's flat and flush. Next comes this washer, with one side is perforations, one side smooth side down. Next you'll take your tension nut. I'm just getting everything hand tight on there for right now. Cool. So that's basically the body of it all. And now that I'm at this stage, what I'm gonna do, because I don't want to spray the brake pads, is I'm going to take some of this super slick stuff. I love this lube. And I'm just going to do a little, perfect, just a little something. This is also while the spring's still not engaged. And that's just going to get some lube down in there, and I'm just going to let that sit for a second and wipe off the excess. Maybe take the air compressor and blow out even more. But I don't use like tenacious oil or anything on the inside or on the washers. It's not a bad idea, but the problem is it attracts a lot of dirt, especially on this bottom side. Oop, there goes the air compressor, which I'm actually going to use real quick. So just a quick air dry. And then now we can install the spring, which you just pull and snap, and now it's got excellent feel. No wobble. Probably have to tighten that a little bit, but honestly, it's feeling really good. All right, now that the body is assembled, we can do the cable clamp. So we'll insert this guy there, washer. Whoops, what am I doing? Goes right there, and then take this tiny little 7mm. So next, the actual clamp. So it comes with a little bolt and a washer with a rough side. The rough side faces where the cable will go. Now, simply do the brake pads, which is really easy. You just throw them in like so. Washer, nut. Perfect. Awesome. And these washers, the flat side always goes down. There is like a little lip that comes up, and the lip faces outwards. Just keep that in mind when you're putting this all back together. So there it is, basically. Tighten everything up, but that looks great. I am very happy with how that turned out. Restored, not restored.